In this video, we're going to talk about pros and cons of having an RV or motorhome powered by diesel and electricity and no propane. Stay tuned. So for people that just want to cut to the chase and not watch a full-length video here, the big negative to diesel is if you're going to be in the same spot for a prolonged period, and especially in the winter, you might have to haul some diesel to your motorhome. We couldn't find a delivery service for it. The campgrounds don't typically accommodate diesel delivery like they do propane delivery to each site. And in the winter, if you've done winter preparations with skirting or anything like that, it is a huge effort to be able to drive to get diesel. So other than that, we've enjoyed having diesel and no propane. But now keep watching if you want the nitty-gritty and all the details regarding this and how we got to this point. As always, if this video is any value at all to you, please like and subscribe. It's easy and free, helps us out, and we would appreciate it. Thank you. When we were looking for our motorhome, one of the features we saw listed was all electric. And we didn't know what that meant, but with some research and reading and some hopefully halfway intelligent questions on Facebook groups, we learned that all electric means electric plus diesel instead of electric plus propane. So the systems that would have been propane powered, such as possibly the furnace, hot water heater, cooktop, whatever, they would either be electric or powered by diesel. In the case of what we got, the cooktop, for example, is electric, an induction cooktop. We like it a lot, but the furnace and the hot water system is an aqua-hot, and it's powered by electricity or diesel. With electricity, it's a very low BTU output. With diesel, it's a very high output. So for just basic hand washing and a few dishes, you can stay on electric only and leave the diesel turned off. But if you want a long hot shower or a decent shower at all, you turn on the diesel a little bit before you get in there and let that warm up the system. For us, it was appealing not to have to fill tanks with propane. And we know that on these bigger rigs, sometimes those tanks don't even come out. You have to pull up alongside the propane, fill up at campgrounds or fuel stations or truck stops or whatever, and they cable in and fill up your tank on board. And it's also kind of known, I guess, that propane is one of the bigger sources of motorhome fires. So let's remove that as a potential risk. So we've really enjoyed not having to deal with propane. But let me tell you one con. The only con for us of having diesel only is that we didn't necessarily think we would spend a prolonged time in a long, cold winter spot. We thought maybe a week or two or maybe up to a month. But if you're going to have to land for several months, then the campgrounds cater to bringing propane to your site. They'll take your tank, they'll fill it, bring it back and charge you. They don't do that with diesel. Before the super cold came, we'd been here a while and the fuel was about down to half. It was time to drive over and get some fuel. So we went and filled the tank up. Once we got back and settled in, eventually there was a big snowstorm. We had 2 to 3 foot drifts along the front and the back of the RV, the full length. I mentioned this in our lessons learned in the super cold video that posted not too long ago. Check that one out. So we used the snow as a skirt, basically. I had resisted putting a skirt on the RV. I didn't think we would need one. I hoped we wouldn't need one. That's all discussed in the other video. But I used the snow to create a skirt last minute, and this increased the temperature in all the bays and in the house like immediately. As soon as the snow was packed around, temperatures all came up. And we were surviving, but we weren't thriving in that level of cold without blocking the cold from going underneath the coach. So then, as I also pointed out in that video, in 35 days, we burned about 55 gallons of diesel. But now we had a pile of snow around the rig. And to move that and the tear down and going to get the diesel and setting back up, that's a really long, tiring day. So we started deciding we could haul diesel ourselves. So very ironically, I took the Tesla to the nearby fuel station and I had bought 2 5-gallon jugs, gas cans, and a siphon, an $11 siphon. So I didn't know how well it would work, but I didn't want to hold a 40-pound, 5-gallon gas can up while I poured it in. And it's a good thing I didn't because the angle of the door with the fuel on the cap and the way it poured, and now the new government regulated anti-spill garbage, it didn't pour very well. So having a siphon really did work. In just a few minutes, I could hand pump 5 gallons out of one of the cans. So I made 3 trips to the gas station to get 30 gallons on board. We needed 40 or 50, but that was plenty. And it's kind of drippy and messy and smelly and dirty and just really, really nasty. So that's really the big con is if you're going to be in a prolonged spot in the long, cold winter, keeping diesel on board is not as easy as keeping propane on board. I had called numerous places in the area. Everyone said, just have some delivered. And I'm too cheap for that. But I thought, okay, I'll call them. Maybe it won't be as bad as I think. One limitation is many places won't deliver unless it's 100 gallons or more. There's no way we need 100 gallons. Other places wouldn't do it if it wasn't commercial need. We're not commercial. So everybody kept saying, call this one in Gretna, call this one, call it. Several people pointed us to the same place, kind of a small farmers co-op type of place. So I called them and I said, do you do less than 100 gallons? Yep. Do you do non-commercial? Yep. And as soon as I said motorhome, they said, nope, we don't do motorhomes. I was like, man, I'm like 3 miles from you guys. But it didn't matter. They're not going to do it. So I really was left with doing it myself. And we have a large tote in the back of the car that we put groceries and different stuff in. And so that by total chance, the 2 5-gallon jugs fit perfectly in that tote. And that would help keep them upright and, reduce some spilling risk in the back of the car. So, downside is hauling diesel if you're going to be in a spot prolonged. It's not the end of the world. It's not super hard. It takes a little time. Even if I just drive a half mile away to get diesel and hand pump it, the 5-gallon jug in, switch it, hand pump the next one, do it again. That takes some time. Still faster, and I think less hard work than tearing down the rig, driving over, and then coming back and setting it up. I don't mind the hauling, but it's a con for sure. And while I certainly do not know the efficiency of propane versus diesel, I have read that diesel's twice as efficient as propane. I don't know if that's true. Just comparing what our neighbors next to us with a very large propane tank that was delivered and set next to their rig, uh, what they pay and how often they have to fill that up. I think it's really about the same per month for propane versus diesel. So I don't know the efficiency of it. I'm not even going to claim to. So but I feel like it's pretty close in terms of cost. Another point on this is I suspect, but I also don't know, that an all electric slash electric diesel option is probably more common with drivable rigs, RVs, motorhomes. I doubt it's common on a towable, whether it's bumper pull or fifth wheel or whatever. I don't know, I haven't looked into it, but I suspect those don't have a diesel component. The key to the diesel element of the option for us was the RV has a 100 gallon diesel fuel tank. That fuel tank is where the diesel generator draws fuel from, and it's where the aqua system draws fuel from. So we have one tank. We don't have to fill up the fuel tank for the rig and then a tank for the generator and a tank for the aqua. One big 100-gallon diesel tank for the rig fuels the whole kit and caboodle, which I think is very handy. And in case you're wondering, the generator and the aqua are kind of piped in, plumbed into the tank so that they can't drain you and leave you stranded without any fuel. I've heard in the early days the generator could run you totally out of fuel, and then you're just stuck out there. So now it's plumbed in so that you have 20% of your tank left when the generator stops running versus letting it drain your tank. So in summary, the real negative to diesel is just the fact that you may have to haul it yourself to your rig if you're somewhere for a prolonged period of time, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. But otherwise, it's been all upside for us other than that. If you're still watching, thank you. You're among the elite and the few who watch the whole video. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate you watching always. Thank you.